Hey everyone, it's Jackson back at you guys again with some tabletop gameplay. Today we have the Dragapult Charizard deck versus the Marnie's Grimmsnarl deck. So I am on the left here playing Dragapult Charizard, very close list to what I played at the Portland Regionals. Made the adjustment to put two jamming towers into the deck, cut the Artisan, cut the second Badoo. So going to see how that plays out. Hopefully can stop some TM devolutions, and of course is very strong into Gardevoir right now. Also opting for the Monkey Dory still, which will be very helpful here. On the right, Ciaran has joined me playing the Marnie's Grimmsnarl deck with the Frostlass and Monkey Dory combination, opting to play a 4-3-2 Grimmsnarl with only the one copy of Rare Candy. So interesting inclusion there, and is also including the copy of Defiance Band. So will be interesting to see how those different inclusions play out. Also only opting for the one copy of Boss, which will be interesting to see. So I'm gonna shuffle our deck, get set up here on the left. Ciaran already has a basic here. Won the coin flip, so we're going to be opting to go second in this matchup, of course. Both decks are very, very happy to go second, and a little bit tougher to go first. Both decks want to TM Evo or Badoo here. In this matchup specifically, I'm pretty happy to Badoo. Hit the Impidimp for weakness, as well as shutting off items, specifically looking to shut off that secret box. Ciaran is just doing a little prize check there for the camera. We can see that the TM devolution is prized, so it's going to have to work without that for the game. Will be interesting to see if that does come up. So starting with the Artisan there, grabbing the Monkey Dory, has the Dark Energy in hand, so prioritizing getting that in play over a Snorunt. Just wants to make sure getting those monkeys down is very, very important, and he will pass it over to me. So I have a pretty strong hand here. Have the Dreepy and as well as a copy of Brox. I'm going to use the Artisan first, do a little prize check. Looks like we have the double Luminous prized, so will be interesting to see how we manage that. Of course, only the 4 copies of Luminous. That means setting up Monkey Dory in this game and even Dragapult will be a little bit tougher. Only playing the 2 copies that we can find, no energy search, no ways to find them, so we'll just have to draw into them naturally. Gonna Artisan for that Charmander. We have the second Dreepy in hand, so not too worried about establishing too many. We don't want to play too wide. I also have this Dracloak in the Brock, so I'm considering playing the Brock. Could grab a second Dracloak here, but actually just going to opt to Itchy Pollen, no Brock. We also have an Iono in hand, not going to play that. We don't want to overload our hand with too many Draclooks and get Iono'd out of them. That would leave us in a pretty dangerous spot. So just going to Itchy Pollen here. Our second turn will look pretty good. Going to at least get one Dracloak in play off the rip, and then we can Brox to get the second one. Using the research back on Ciaran's side is able to find the TM Evolution, and using that rescue board from last turn is able to utilize that Dark Energy on the Monkey Dory. Going to get that Morgrem in play, get that Frostlass going. That will start to accumulate some damage. Should be very helpful for him, especially once I'm able to get into some Dracloaks. So it looks like I top deck a second Dracloak. Very welcome top deck. Going to be able to establish 2 different Dracloaks, and now actually using this Brock Scouting is a lot lesser value. We're not item locked, and we're looking to find Luminous Energy here, so I'm going to actually play this Iono here, draw the maximum amount. We're going to see 10 cards here, as well as potentially 2 Recon Directives next turn, so going to give ourselves a much better opportunity to find the combo pieces that we need. So Recon first. We want to find that Dragapult. I think we already actually might have one, but we got the Brox off of the Recon there. Definitely am not researching away that 7-card hand. And then we find the Charmeleon off of the second Recon Directive. The 100 HP Charmeleon is very strong here. Doesn't have that ability, so will not be taking damage from Frostlass. I can kind of just chill there. Once we get to the late game, we can make a Charizard. It will be very helpful. Got the Jamming Tower in hand, considering playing that to bump the Artisan, but I mean, these Grimmsnarl decks play a lot of stadiums. They play 4 in total, and the Artisan isn't really doing that much for Ciaran right now. It does grab a second Monkey Dory, so that is pretty helpful, but the stadium is likely to get bumped, so not going to play it down just yet. We're going to split our fire energies on the Dracloak just in case, this Dracloak on the bench has 3 damage on it. 1 Adrenabrain plus a Shadow Bolt will KO it, so we want to make sure that we can get a Dragapult in active next turn with 2 energies, and then hopefully we can start firing. So Ciaran is going to start by getting the second Morgrim in play, and then Artisan in. We'll see if he ends up grabbing anything here. Again, could go for the second Monkey Dory. Not sure if he has one. He might already have a Monkey Dory in hand, but if he doesn't, might opt to grab another Monkey Dory here. Looks like he's actually eyeing up that Impidimp as well. Could just be setting up a third one. Make sure that you're not getting board wiped from 2 Phantom Dives. Now it's going to replace the Artisan with the Spikemuth, so we know that a Grimmsnarl is coming out. It's expected, but still a little bit unfortunate. We did item lock Ciaran with the hope that he wouldn't find the Grimmsnarl. He is playing that 4-3-2 line, so only 4 outs to Grimmsnarl between the 2 Spikemuth and the 2 Grimmsnarl. So if we were able to dodge that, this turn would have been pretty good. He does have the Monkey Dark there as well, so very strong turn. And then it's going to Adrenabrain, put looks like 2 damage counters onto that Dracloak. So move it from 3 to 1. Got that up to 5. That's going to die to the Shadow Bolt 30 plus the Freezing Shroud for 10. And then it's now looking at using that second Monkey Dory. I'm going to put 10 on the Badoo. Oh, and actually has that boss's orders, which is incredibly strong. That's going to result in a very big demolition. Going to take a knockout on both of the Dracloaks between turns with the Freezing Shroud. And this game is actually looking really bad. So, looking at my hand here, I don't have a ton going on here. I could Brock Scouting for a Charizard, but just the Charizard isn't going to be enough to win me this game. So I like this. We're going ahead. We're going to grab the Pheasantipity. We're going to grab the Dreepy here off of that Brock Scouting. This is a really big reason why I like playing Brock over Jacques in this deck. Having access to the Pheasantipity and cards like Hawlucha and Monkey Dory is very powerful. So hopefully off of this Pheasantipity we can find some good cards. Really looking for Unfair Stamp here, number 1. If we can Unfair Stamp Ciaran, potentially we could 2-shot this Grimmsnarl before he's able to make a second Grimmsnarl. We have that Jamming Tower in hand from last turn, so we know we'll be able to bump the Spikemuth. So we see the Dreepy coming down here. Pretty happy with that. There's a good chance it gets KO'd, but one Charizard is not going to get us across the line here, and if this Dreepy gets KO'd, it will give us another Pheasantipity. But we did find the Charizard off of the Flip the Script, so going to make that Charizard. We're swinging for 240 here, and we'll see what happens from there. So definitely going to retreat the Badoo, going into the active here. We could look at, we have these bosses, we have this Countercatcher in hand, so actually going to spend a little bit thinking, maybe we could Countercatcher up the Morgrim on the bench. Only problem with that is, we're still staring down this Grimmsnarl, and this Grimmsnarl is just going to continue to put in work. So we're going to opt to swing at the active. We're really just hoping that he can't make a second Grimmsnarl because, at this point, 2 Grimmsnarls is essentially checkmate. He's just going to be able to run through us at that point. So we see the Dark Energy hit the Monkey Dory again. So, at this point, our Charizard is going to have to be 2-shot, so Ciaran can't take a 1-shot. And I actually got a little bit of a glimpse of his hand. It's not very good. So, puts him in a little bit of a conundrum, right? If I'm able to knock out his Grimmsnarl next turn, well, that puts him in a pretty difficult spot, especially if I were to hit something like Candy Dragapult. Candy Dragapult would be pretty bad for him, so maybe could opt to knock out my Dreepy here, but he didn't see me do that much last turn. All I did was Brock Scouting and then play the cards in Brock Scouting and flip the script. So there's not a ton going for me here, Could make the assumption that I don't have a very strong hand, and that's exactly what he's going to do. He's not going to knock out the Dreepy there, just going to spread some damage, set up for a 4-prize turn down the road. He is currently on 4, so, 1 Shadow Bullet will knock out Dreepy, Badoo, and Charizard. So, just looking 1 turn away. And back on my side, I don't really have much going on here. I got, Double Boss, Countercatcher, TM Evo, Rare Candy. Maybe if I was able to make a Dragapult, would be able to, prevent this 4-prize play, would be able to potentially, Phantom Dive for multiple prizes. but not a ton going on for me. So I'm going to bench this monkey, just in case we get Iono'd. We already have tons of liabilities on the board, so not really too worried about that. And so we knock out this Grimmsnarl, and Ciaran didn't do too much last turn, so he looks at promoting the Morgrim, but that jamming tower is in play, so the rescue board is doing him no good. So actually going to promote that Monkey Dory, give a little bit of a pivot. His hand's dead, but he does top deck that Arven there, and that Arven is going to close things out, getting that Grimmsnarl. You can see him moving the dark energies to the front of the deck, getting that Night Stretcher. That's going to grab the Grimmsnarl, use the Punk Up ability, and then take that 4-prize turn right there. So very well done. Closed out the game there. Got pretty close for a second. Could have potentially stolen that one after, a pretty difficult start, especially after both Draklooks hitting the discard pile. That's never the situation that you want to occur. So we're going to run it back for a game 2 here. Hopefully this one will work, a little bit more in our favor. So we'll speed up that shuffling. Make sure you don't have to sit through 2 minutes of that. So after that game 1, really trying to think about if there's anything else I could have done there. Honestly, don't think there was too much that I could have done. But doing there, it wasn't really doing that much for me. But I know that if he doesn't find the Grimmsnarl, the Badoo is going to be pretty helpful for us. So might go into a similar game plan here. We open the Dreepy here. Ciaran's going to again do a little prize check. Opens that Poffin going first, which is very, very powerful. Only plays the 2 copies of Buddy Poffin. So very happy to see one in the opening hand. Prizes the Devo again, so we'll see if that comes up. Didn't come up in the first one, but it is a very useful card. Has the Dark Energy for the monkey as well. Actually going to see an Ultra Ball as well, discarding some cards. Discards the Defiance Bend and the Countercatcher. Not super important cards here, so I think that's okay on his side. Now I am faced with a decision here. I got this Arven in hand, so could either go for the TM Evo or could go for the Badoo here. We did just see him play the Ultra Ball, so kind of looking at my options here. He did Ultra Ball for the Frostlass, so what items are we really shutting off, right? I mean, we could shut off Arven for Secret Box, but his hand's pretty small and one of them's already a Frostlass, so discarding all of his cards just to use that Secret Box would be pretty taxing. So I think here we're actually going to opt to go for the Evo. Again, doing a little prize check here, nothing super major prize. 2 copies of Iono, so maybe we'll be a little bit careful about burning a copy here or there. We got the Poffin Evo here. We're going to go ahead and establish a Dreepy, rather, and then establish a Charmander. I believe we had another Dreepy in hand. We'll take a look. Yes, looks like we have that additional Dreepy in hand. Definitely going to get that on the bench. We're attaching the Fire over the Luminous just in case the opponent finds Candy Grimmsnarl. We don't want to be in a spot where we're giving up that Luminous energy. So we're going to go ahead and Evo. We're going to get out double Dracloak. We're prioritizing the Dracloak over the Charmeleon because we don't want to be left in a spot where these Dracloaks take a bunch of freezing shroud damage. So getting them out early will be very helpful for that. And this Charmeleon can really hit the board whenever. It's not a huge priority early. So getting those out. Ciaran's going to slam down 2 stage 1s and an Iono. So very strong turn from him there. We are then going to see, looks like just a pass. So not a super strong turn post Iono. So his hand is not looking great. He just got the energy attachment on the Morgrim. So, no monkeys in play. Probably would have benched monkey attached if he had it. So we can rule that out. We can rule a few things out as well. No Spikemouth, no Artisan. Probably no Nestball or Buddy Poffin or Ultra Ball even. So I have a interesting hand here. Rocking a 7-card hand. Got the Charmeleon, so definitely going to put that in play. And I'm debating between attaching the Luminous Energy to the Dreepy or the Dracloak. I actually attach it to the Dracloak immediately, but after thinking about it a little bit here, we have this research in hand. If I'm able to put together Candy Dragapult, this is an incredibly strong play. And, I'm going to play this research anyways, and the idea here is, if I whiff, I'm probably going into Badoo because, Ciaran shouldn't have a Spikemouth in play, so there's very few outs to Grimmsnarl, and if we shut off his ability to play cards like Arven for Secret Box or Ultra Ball, that will be very helpful. So we play the research. We've got Recon, we're going to grab Rescue Board. That's going to allow us to get into the Badoo. Looks like we found the Dragapult, but no rare candy. We have that Buddy Poffin in hand already. So it looks like we're going to grab the second Buddy Poffin here. Grabbing the second Poffin is very strong. That's going to be an Ultra Ball target for us. We also want to make this third copy of Dracloak in the active here. That way we can threaten the Phantom Dive on the following turn. So going to see that Poffin hit the discard pile. Looks like along with the Pheasantipity. Shouldn't be too relevant. We got triple Dracloak in play. Not too worried about drawing cards. We've played a research. We're already really thinning through the deck. So we're going to get some draw. We're going to use that third Recon Directive. And then should be followed up by an Itchy Pollen here. So we got the third Dracloak. Ciaran's got to make a lot happen here under the Badoo, right? Not going to have access to any items, so no Ultra Ball, no Secret Box. Arven becomes a lot less powerful. Looks like we have a third Recon Directive. Nothing super major there. Just picking up a Brox. We're going to the Itchy Pollen. We're going to see what Ciaran can do here. Going to be an Itchy Pollen for 10, and then the Freezing Shroud to put the Monkey Dory at 30. So all of my Draclooks are going to take 10 damage. And then on Ciaran's side, we'll see what he can do. So looks like he's eyeing up potentially playing an Arven. Also saw an Iono in the hand, so two decent options there. So I mean, Arven's not super strong, but I did see another Dark Energy in hand, so can make a Grimmsnarl and just, you know, manually attach to get that full setup going. And looks like that's the way he's going to go. Can't play the item, so going to grab something for, you know, probably next turn when the Badoo doesn't attack. Gets the Secret Box, makes sense, and then the TM Evo. Also eyeing up that Frostlass, so yeah, again, we're going to see that Snorunt hit the board, and then we're going to see that TM Evo. So first going to see that Adrenabrain onto the Dracloak and just, you know, set it up. It's going to take another 20 between turns, so very vulnerable at this point. And then we're going to see the TM Evo into the Grimmsnarl and the Frostlass. So back onto our turn here. We have one goal in mind, really, and it's going to be bossing up that Grimmsnarl. That's the only threat on the board. I mean, the Frostlasses are technically a threat, but the only attacker on the board. The Monkey Dory damage is really piling up here, so if we can find our own Monkey Dory additionally, we can knock out Monkey Dory and put some damage on that Grimmsnarl. That's going to be an incredible turn if we can make it happen. So we're going to take our time here at the Recon Directives. Looks like we found a boss here, so that is piece number 1 of the puzzle. And then we got our third Recon Directive here. And looks like we grabbed that Luminous plus Monkey. Or we got the Monkey there. And I think the Luminous is in hand, sorry. Yeah, there's the Luminous. We already have the Dragapult in hand as well. Gonna evolve that. We have the boss, so that's everything that we really need. So gonna play that boss. Definitely bringing up that Grimmsnarl. Maybe thinking for a second if we want to knock out double Frostlass, but it's surely got to be the Grimmsnarl here, because once we damage this Grimmsnarl, we can threaten to knock out the Grimmsnarl plus an Impidimp next turn. That's going to put Ciaran in a very, very dangerous position. So, going to play that boss. Should be bringing it up. We can use the Adrenabrain, move 30 damage onto the Monkey Dory. That's going to put it at 50 total. With the 2 Freezing Shrouds, we're going to have to Phantom Dive 4 damage counters there, and then we can put the other 2 onto a Frostlass. So we just need to figure out where we're going to Adrenabrain from. If we Adrenabrain from the Dragapult, it's not really all that impactful. We don't need to worry about a double Adrenabrain Devo play next turn, because we are going to knock out the only Monkey Dory. We could move it off of the Dracloak with 70, or the Dracloak with 40 in that case. The Dracloak with 70, if we move it down to 40, it's going to go back up to 60, and then can be KO'd on the following turn. Whereas if we move it off of this Dracloak with 40, it's going to be on 10, so between turns we'll go to 30. A Shadow Bullet will put it to 60, and then 2 more Freezing Shrouds will put it to 80. So this Dracloak will survive, so definitely going to heal that one up. And we're just going to let the other Dracloak get KO'd. And that's not a problem, because we have a very commanding board state here. Charmeleon has just been chilling here as well, so we know that we have a secondary attacker, and it's on Ciaran to make something happen here. So going to see the Secret Box here. Going to see the Rescue board come out. We're going to see this Poffin come out, it looks like, as well, for the item. Figuring out the last 2 cards here. So got the board, got the Poffin. Looks like we are eyeing up potentially a research. Okay, and then the TM Evo there, that is 2 tool cards. That is no stadium card, Ciaran. Should have grabbed a stadium card. I also didn't pick up on that, so that's a a little bit of a misstep for us here. Spikemuth would have been helpful, not this turn, but next turn potentially. Right, we already got access to the Impidimps, so No need for an Artisan. I believe that, yeah, he has the Night Stretcher in hand to get the Monkey Dark set up. But yeah, having the Spike Myth for next turn could be very helpful, you know, searching out a Grimmsnarl, searching out a Morgrim. But we are going to see that research thin out that TM Evo. So in a sense, we're also thinning out a card that is not very good, so not terrible either. I'm going to see that research for 7. Not really much that Ciaran can do now outside of Adrenabrain and attack. Going to see him pile some damage on the Monkey Dory and then use the Shadow Bullet to put 30 more on the Monkey Dory. That's going to put it to 100 total after the double Freezing Shroud. So putting a lot of pressure down and you know, prepping for a potential Devo play here. We're going to have 50 on this Dracloak as well, and then this Dragapult in the active is prepped for that Devo. That Monkey Dory will be KO'd between turns after 40 more Shrouded Freezing Shroud damage, and we will have to deal with that. So in order to play around the Devo play, we would like to get some stage 2s out this turn. So I mean, this Charmeleon's been sitting here a while. We don't want it to get de-evolved into a Charmander. We'd like to get it de-evolved into a Charmeleon, where we can just evolve right back and take a KO. So we're going to start by getting the Luminous Energy on the Dracloak. That's the only place that we really need a Luminous. And then looks like we're just eyeing up that Iono. We're going to play that Iono. We already have our attack prepped, so really just looking to find those stage 2s. So we're going to go ahead and draw. We found the Charizard, and so I'm thinking about putting the Charizard in play, but there are multiple cards in the bottom of the deck from the Iono that I don't want to see. So we're going to recon first. We find the Dragapult, so get rewarded for some good sequencing there. That's going to be very, very helpful for us. Just taking a look at the discard pile. We're going to Infernal Rain, trying to see how many fires are in the deck. Looks like we got 1, 2, and just the 2. I believe we might have prized 1. So should be able, from Ciaran's perspective, we'd be able to tell that I prized at least 1 fire energy, maybe 2. Not sure how many were prized. But we're going to get 2 onto the Charizard. Nevertheless, we have that Dragapult. We should evolve that to make sure that it doesn't get KO'd by the Freezing Shroud. So just, you know, thinking about our attack here for a second. We have another Phantom Dive. Likely just going to go after the Monkey Dory here again. Getting rid of the Monkey Dory is going to remove a lot of potential for Ciaran to spread damage, set up the Devo play. Also, overall, will just, you know, let us pile damage. We won't have to worry too much about, you know, setting up Phantom Dive numbers because the Monkey Dory will be gone. So you see the Dragapult hit the board. We also see the Phantom Dive. We're going to put 4 onto that Monkey Dory, put it up to 90, and it's going to get KO'd between turns. We've got 2 left. We're going to spread them out onto the Impidimps. That way we can potentially set up a 2-prize Phantom Dive next turn. The Monkey Dory is going to be KO'd between turns from the Freezing Shroud. And now Ciaran is in a tough spot. So down 2 prizes. We have, you know, just 1 Phantom Dive away from victory here. You know, a lot of cases, unless he is able to either evolve into Morgrim and Grimmsnarl, or is able to evolve into Grimmsnarl and find Monkey Dark. So definitely a difficult position for him to be in. I believe we were sitting on boss last turn as well, so once this Arven hits the board, we're going to double check. We got the boss in hand, got that fire energy in hand off of the prizes, so we have access to that Phantom Dive. Looks like Ciaran is eyeing up the Countercatcher. Let's see what happens with the Countercatcher. Countercatchering up the bench Dragapult is interesting here. I think he has access to the Candy Grimmsnarl. Yes, it looks like it's a Countercatchering up a different Pokemon is interesting because we're going to shut off access to Fezandipity, access to Unfair Stamp, but we're going to leave that fire energy in play on the Dragapult. So I'm not actually sure if I love this, just because knocking out this fire energy on the Dragapult could put me in a spot where I'm unable to find a fire energy. Of course, I took the fire off the prizes, but what if I didn't, right? I could have whiffed, but damaging this Dragapult means all I need is boss. And so he has played the Countercatcher, is going to use the Shadow Bullet, and we're going to show the boss and the fire. Even if he knocked out the other Dragapult, we did have that fire energy, but definitely could have been interesting to see if I didn't have access to that. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you are interested in, some more Dragapult Charizard content, I am hosting a masterclass on Metafy on June 8th. So if you're interested, please come check that out. I'll be doing a little bit more in depth on, all the matchups, and it'll be a good time. As well, Ciaran is also hosting a Grimmsnarl masterclass. So if you are interested, that is, I believe, the day before. So if you guys want, come check out both, but it should be very, very good. Ciaran is a fantastic content creator, and we'll definitely be tuning into that one. So thank you guys for watching very much, and I'll see you guys in the next one.